Welcome to the Bolt Podcast. I'm Todd Burge, keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and mental fitness coach. I'm here to help you unlock your leadership potential and ignite your personal growth. On the Bolt, my guests and I will dive into inspiring stories of transformation, showing how small mindset shifts can lead to life-changing benefits. We'll explore strategies for overcoming challenges, building high-performance habits, and leading with confidence. If you're ready to embrace a growth mindset and unlock your full potential, then let's ignite your spark today. As we wrap up season 1 of the Bolt Podcast, I want to say thank you. Thank you to our incredible guests who showed up with honesty, wisdom, and powerful stories. And thank you to you, our loyal listeners, for being a part of this journey. We'll have launched 50 episodes this season, and it's been a ton of fun. My gratitude cup is full. So to close out the season, we're doing something special, a 2-part best of series. Think of it as a highlight reel featuring the most impactful moments from every episode. The best leadership insights, personal growth hacks, and mindset shifts, all in one place. This season has been about growth, resilience, and igniting what's possible. Let's finish strong and keep that spark alive. Cheers, my friends. Today's guest is Dan Flanagan.
People always think the success is sort of the end game, and it's sort of the win and where you receive the gratification. But to me, it's more about the process. And you see success in the small wins. You see success through your failures. You see success through circumstances and adversities that you go through. You know, the little triumphs to the times where you really kick yourself and say, well, why did I do that? Or how did I do that? But it's learning from those things that make you successful. And then when you get to that end of the road where you're looking to win and achieve, you're doing it because your mindset along the way and throughout the process really got you there.
Today's guest is Geraghty.
One of the most important things I've learned is all growth is incremental and compounding. And so wherever you are, all you have to do is challenge yourself a little bit at the edge, become a little better. So if you say, you know what, I'm kind of always like looking out in the wind to figure out like who people want me to be rather than looking internally, then I would say, okay, it's probably important for you to think about really what are your values, What if you looked at the world and you looked at all the different things in your society, where would you like to have some impact? And just get directionally clear about your purpose and get directionally clear about what that would look like. And think about, okay, what are my gifts? Like what things am I going to use? Because I know a lot of us don't recognize our natural gifts because they come so easy to us. And we don't really think like, oh, this is something that really adds a lot of value. But look in your life and think about how have you solved challenges? How have you overcome obstacles? What were the gifts you were using? And get kind of clear on who you are. This is what my purpose is. This is what I'd like to create. Here's who I want to be. Here's this. And then think about, okay, now I'm going to take those and put those to use on an ongoing basis.
Today's guest is Scott Hubble.
But one thing that I guess sort of evolved in me over the years, coming out of academia, using my analytical and assessment tools and the systems that were provided, I was able to do things that little guy. But in those first few years, I realized, something's more important than the product, because I was always like, hey, the product, that's what's going to win it. And what wins it is people. And it really made me, reflect and develop the idea, people matter most. And, the level of care, when you tell and show your people that you care, then they care. And now you're caring for them. They're caring for the company. And you're all caring about the product because you're caring about the end user. And I think that level of care is infectious, right? When you feel wanted, you act in a different way.
Today's guest is Kat Polsinelli.
You're not alone. In a world where we have been meant to choose sides, where we're told we're supposed to be here, we're supposed to be there, we're supposed to believe in this, and we're supposed to be in that. In a world where a lot of us feel extremely siloed, you're not alone. And sometimes being alone is a space that you need to be in to learn to love yourself before you then blossom back out into the world to create that space to bring others into your life.
Johnny B in the house.
I had this mindset of I have to become selfish before I become selfless. I have to start taking care of me and my well-being. I read Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek and get it, understand it, and his reasons of why are really, really impactful. Then one of my friends started writing a book which she published not too long ago called Moms Eat First. I was like, Kathy, oh my gosh, I'm totally into that idea and the concept of it. I started taking care of myself, working out, diet, meditation, journaling. Journaling, I learned a lot from writing because I didn't realize how many bad ideas I actually had until I wrote them down and read them back. And then in that same time of being selfish to get selfless, I became clear on what my purpose was: make an impact. Simple as that.
Right.
And if I'm able to do something that does that, I will do it and I'll get energy from it. If all of a sudden I have to do something that doesn't feel like that, I don't want to. I'll do it because I probably have to,
right?
But it doesn't fill my cup up. That's where my energy comes from because I'm doing things I love to do with people that I like to do it with.
Today on the Bolt podcast, I'm excited to welcome Peter Ray.
Daniel Kahneman, you're probably quite familiar with. He argued that the single, if people don't know who he is, the only psychologist to win a Nobel Prize in economics. And he argued that the single greatest contribution of psychology to humankind is Kurt Lewin's idea of restraining forces. Lewin's research is 80 years old. So I like stuff that's old, that's been around for a long time and proven. Mm-hmm. And what Lewin's stuff demonstrated, this is kind of a fundamental piece to what I continue to do. You have driving forces pushing you this way and restraining forces putting you this way. So let's take virtue. I mean, who in the world wouldn't want to be on a team where people trust each other, they care about each other, they're fair, and they're hopeful? And who the heck wants to be on a team where people are distrustful, ruthless, cowards, and they're full of despair? So it's kind of a no-brainer. That's what you want. But the driving force to want to practice virtue, you have restraints, the pressure to perform, time limitations, a grouchy boss. And none of those things, you can't eliminate them, but you can weaken their restraints. So if I do nothing, I'm stuck. I can't change my behavior. If I can define and weaken my restraints, I start to tip it. That's a really key piece that takes you all the way from Rumi to Kurt Lewin 80 years ago that still works today.
Today's guest is the amazing Denise Logan.
To realize there is no formula. There is no path. The path is set within us. And are we willing? And I'm not even going to use the word brave because I did not feel brave when I was making those decisions. I just knew it was what I needed to do. And are we willing to listen within and to do what is right for us, even if it bucks the system, even if it doesn't look like what other people think is success? There were surely people around me at that time in my life when I made that transition who thought, oh my God, she's lost it. For sure. But then I took my little break and my life went a different way. Without that experience of what I call a super ugly, choppy exit to my business, how would I be able to bring a level of wisdom into the lives of the clients who I see now? I don't want them to do that. And for some of them, their exit will not look magical and beautiful, but it still is a successful change.
Listeners, get ready for a powerful and inspiring conversation on the Bolt. Today's guest, Greta Johnson.
That resting is not quitting. You know, we talked about like needing to like say no sometimes. And yeah, you know, this like hard work, and we're of sort of that same era where you just got to grind, right? There's this sort of nobility in never taking vacation or coming to work sick and gutting it out. And I have paid the price of that. And I would go back and say to myself, you know, the only strength doesn't have to come from suffering. Like, take a break, rest, recover, take care of your body, take care of your mental health, your physical health, instead of just going and never giving yourself a little bit of time to recover. I think that is one thing I wish I could go back and say. I struggle with it now.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a certain, I am envious and proud of the 20-somethings who work for me because they prioritize it, and they should. Burnout is real. Your physical health can never be, you know, overvalued. So I'm trying to take a cue from them and prioritizing health first and making sure that I take a break when I need to.
Today's guest is Emmy-nominated producer Ben Hada.
Wrestling is sort of a story of life. You know, it's about getting knocked down. It's about getting back up again. It's about, you know, it's only you out there, right? No matter how many friends, family, loved ones, coaches, teammates you have, you're the only one that can perform and do, you know, what you need to do. So, and failure comes and wins come, you know, and it's just about getting out there and putting one foot in front of the other and training to get better 1%, you know, every day. And, you know, that translates into many sports.
We'll be right back after this short message. Hey, it's Todd again. Did you know that mental fitness is the secret weapon for transformational leadership? Your mind may be sabotaging you, leading you down a path of stress and negativity, but it doesn't have to be this way. If you're ready to unlock the resilience to empower yourself and the team you lead, listen up. Through the Positive Intelligence Program, PQ for short, I help leaders build mental strength, manage stress, and increase emotional intelligence. Imagine reducing burnout, improving your relationships, and increasing performance, all backed by neuroscience. Look, I'm living proof of its power, having rewired my brain after building my mental fitness with PQ over the last 5 years. Are you ready to build yours? Visit toddbirch.com for more information, and let's get a free consultation scheduled today. Now back to the show. Today's guest is a master connector, a champion of relationship-driven success, and someone who's built an entire career around the power of networking. Frank Agan.
You know, people throw those words around, know, like, and trust. We do business with those who we know, like, and trust. But I interviewed a woman on my podcast, and it really kind of changed my view of relationships. And she was talking about Margaret Mead. Margaret Mead was a favorite.
Oh, my gosh. I just included her in a quote that I'm going to be emceeing next week.
Okay. Yeah. Famous anthropologist.
Yeah.
She was teaching a class, and one of the students said, "What was the first sign of human civilization?" And as she's gathering herself, everybody's thinking, okay, it's fire, it's clay pots, it's webbing, maybe it's language. And she said it was a healed femur. She went on to explain that in the animal world, the femur is the bone that connects the knee to the hip. Most animals have a femur, and when an animal breaks its femur, it's a death sentence. It can't protect itself, it can't forage, it can't hunt. It's going to die, either real quick or, you know, painfully slow, but it's going to die. But when we came across the remains of humans that had a healed femur, we knew there was something different. We knew that somebody made a decision to stay behind because it takes about 6 to 8 weeks without modern medical care for that bone to heal. And so if you stop and think about it, and as soon as when I heard that on the podcast, I had chills going up my spine. It's like, oh my gosh, there's something, I get it now.
Today we are joined by Molly Ketchum.
Lately I'm getting into an even deeper level, which is the emotional or energetic aspect of it, which I still believe uses curiosity. So curiosity on different levels helps you connect and relate to people on that different level. And when you're able to build the connection, the deeper that you can go, the more influence and impact that you can have. Because when you understand how a person operates and what is most important to them in life, you can meet them where they are. There's no more guessing about how to lead them into the direction you want them to go, because now you've discovered that by using curiosity, and you have that that influence.
Today's guest is Carolyn Cooper.
Simplify to secure success.
Simplify to
secure success. That's the way you think. That's the decisions you make. That's choosing your next steps. That's has reflections of your willingness to let go, to release the resistance, to align yourself with what matters most. And to me, it's love. I invite you to do the same.
Hi, Bob. Welcome to the Bold Podcast, my friend.
Sustainably successful people out there, right? The leaders, the salespeople, the entrepreneurs, they understand that what they need to do is absolutely be laser focused on providing immense value to the lives of others.
Right.
Right. You know, I often, when I used to speak at sales conferences, I would say, the first thing I'd say is nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet.
Right.
Right. They're not going to buy from you because you have a sales goal or you need the money or even because you're a really nice person. They're going to buy from you because they believe they'll be better off by doing so than by not doing so. Same with leadership. No one's going to follow you because you have a certain goal you want to reach. Right. So we always have to make it about them. That's the beauty of a free enterprise-based marketplace. No one's forced to do business with you.
Right.
So you've got to make it worthwhile for them. And now when you do that from a place of authenticity, from a place of true heart and caring, wow, now you're 9 steps ahead of the game in a 10-step game.
My guest today is Natalie Siston.
And I think what a lot of people say in that question, so if you're stuck on that question, like, I don't remember what I love doing, so many people, because I pose this question in my keynotes, which are very interactive. So typically I'm having them answer this and they all pop up on the screen. And so many people say things like, go outside, be in nature, ride a bike, play the piano, create some art. These aren't expensive things. They don't take a lot of time, but we've just simply not brought that paintbrush with us in a literal and figurative sense into our adulthood. And we have to figure out how to get it back in. So this is kind of where the work combines with joy. A lot of the research that's happening around joy right now, it's how do you insert that level of joy? Because as you and I both know, when we raise our satisfaction and joy levels, like all of the tides rise. We're better for our work. We're better for the people that we love, and we are better for ourselves.
My guest today is the amazing Kemp Boyd.
So I think it's really about getting in touch with your being and not being so focused on what you're doing. And I think in our society, we often have that backwards. We live and we abide so much in a doing culture, which is high productivity, high accomplishment, high achievement, right? I like to say it's the what. And really, I think our first priority is being more concerned with the who. You know, who am I? Who am I representing? And how is that going to drive my what? And so but that's more of the being culture. And the being culture is in the being culture, we want all those accomplishments and achievements, but there's more of a priority on relational, right? It's being in touch with our beings. And I think that's what made us really connect. Like there was something in your being that I could connect to that was almost like a kindred spirit. It's like, oh my gosh, like I want to know more about Todd. What Todd does is great, but I want to know more about how you're doing right now, Todd, what is the best version of you and what you were called to do. Why? Because it was birthed from your being. And so many times we get so caught up in, hey, I need to go and do this thing because that's what's going to bring me happiness. But our good friend and brother Justin Hilden taught me, he said, hey, Kemp, happiness is based on what's happening.
Today on the Bold Podcast, I'm joined by Eric Collette.
It's a great question. And when I wrestle with that question a little bit, Todd, I think the place for most people to start is with their mindset. And honestly, I think a lot of people are confusing a they're confusing a hardware problem for a software problem. So years ago, I was working with a business executive out of Atlanta. And as we were working together, at the outset, he said, I really need to get more done in the day. I'm not accomplishing as much as I'd like to because I'm just distracted, and my thoughts just bounce all over the place like ping pong balls. And we kind of unpacked some of his worries and concerns, and I was able to help connect those to brain health problems. But as he did the work and as he moved forward and he started to make improvements, his processing speed improved by 30% on an objective cognitive test. So we use a cognitive test that was developed by Stanford researchers about 20 years ago, and it's been administered over 20 million times. So it's a really good academically verified test that's like a fine-tuned comb to look at every aspect of your brain functioning.
Today's guest is Justin Hilton.
And my answer was, the most important thing to design is a life. Not a typology of architecture, but a life. And I naively believed that the principles of design of art within architecture could be applied to designing a life. And so I tried to create a methodology for designing the life, my life. The person I wanted to be, not the person who I was and would probably become as a default of what had been poured into me. No, the person I wanted to choose to become. How do I design a path for that person? And so one of the tools was a list of 100 wants, needs, desires, dreams, and goals.
Today's guest is Dave Loomis.
Behind my new book, Customer Outsight. And just to kind of bring that in, there's a lot of people that are interviewing their customers. They're actually still interviewing their customers because they've heard that it's a really good idea to be customer focused. Mm-hmm. You can make a lot more money if you're customer focused.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But they're still doing it for their own sort of selfish reason. How about interview your customers so that you can understand how to serve them better? How about that? I have this little analogy of a spyglass, and I actually have found a little spyglass that I give away as well. And, a lot of people use sort of a spyglass to like, oh, let me take a closer look at my customer and I'm going to figure out how to sell them more.
Right.
My point is, take that spyglass, turn it around, hand it over to your customer, have them look through it, and then ask them questions about what they see in their world. How's your business? What challenges are you having? How can I help you?
All right. In the Bolt podcast studio today with Sam Falletta.
I was lucky before I ever owned the business, and really the team that was around when I got there was exceptional. The previous founder had this phrase that provided way more guidance than we realized at the time. And he would just kind of say it off the cuff. He'd say, like, if you treat people with dignity and respect, they'll repay you in loyalty and performance. And it was just kind of like a managerial, like that was just a coaching phrase. But it became way more than that as we learned, like, okay, how do I make this decision? When, it really became something you could bounce a lot of your choices off of.
Right.
To say, does this meet the criteria that we were founded under?
Right. Almost like core values.
100%. 100%.
Wow. Can you say it one more time?
If you treat people with dignity and respect, they'll repay you in performance and loyalty.
Oh. It's kind of like the golden rule, man.
Right.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Bolt Podcast. I appreciate you spending some time with us today, and it's been a pleasure being part of your journey toward growth, transformation, and leadership. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and leave a review. It truly helps us reach more people like you. Interested in taking your leadership to the next level? Visit toddbirch.com to learn more about my keynote speaking, corporate training programs, and my positive intelligence coaching. Look, I'm here to help you build the mental resilience and leadership skills that drive lasting change. And remember, progress comes from small, consistent steps. Keep moving forward, my friends. And before we wrap, a quick reminder that the information shared on the Bolt podcast, along with anything from toddbirch.com or all my social media channels, is for informational and educational purposes only. We all need support, and if you're seeking meaningful guidance, one of the best things you can do is talk to a licensed professional, whether that's a physician, therapist, or coach. Hey guys, take care of yourself, stay kind to your mind, and remember, help is always available when you need it. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.